Well, it's day one. It's a little bit later in the year than you've seen us last week. We're actually post-turnover now, which is good. On a new lake. Came here about a week and a half ago, right during turnover. Now the water's a lot clearer. It's definitely post-turnover now, which is good. But I found a lot of fish in deep breaks and the open water. There's a lot of ciscoes in this place. But just showed you there, we just marked our first fish. I'm just coming out trying to idle find that big pod of bait that I found last time. Not quite to where it was earlier, and we already ran over a fish. But side imaging is an awesome tool. And 70 feet of water, a lot of guys think side imaging is just for shallow water. It's not. If you've got it rigged up right on your boat, you can mark a fish in 100, however deep you want it to be. You're not going to get a shadow, but you're going to mark a little blip. And knowing that little blip is a muskie is where time and practice comes into it. So we've seen that one. We're going to keep going though, because it's not really around any bait. We want to find that ball of bait, and we're hoping to get some fish jigging, kind of like we did in Ohio a couple years ago. That would be very, very cool. And this is very similar. How these fish were set up wise, very similar. So I got Brad to get up here, and we're going to put the hammer on him here shortly. As soon as our hands warm up and we find that ball of bait. We'll get back with you in a second. Weather's cold. I'm getting over probably one of the worst sicknesses I've ever had in my entire life. So if my voice sounds different, that's probably why. But told you earlier that we had intentions of coming out here and trying jigging. We found probably 3 or 4 fish while looking for that bait that were kind of just by themselves. And Brad had them come up and look at the jig, but they just wouldn't eat it. And I told him, I said, man, we really need to find the ball of bait with the fish. As soon as I found a ball of bait, which we got a little clip of that on the side imaging, fish babysitting that bait, I stopped, we slowed down, started jigging. Actually, I did a very good thing. I distracted Brad by telling him he needs to put this weight on this bait, and he needs to do it because my hands are cold. While I had him distracted, I dropped my jig down and started jigging through that ball of bait, and as soon as I got to that fish that we marked, it ate. One thing really cool about it is I seen it came up, and I knew it was sitting there, and I jigged a couple times, and I raised it up to bring it up kind of to the boat, more so to look at the fish, to be honest. But I do that a lot back home, and it works up here as well. If you got one and you see it on your graph, or in your live scope, your 2D, or whatever, you see one falling, a lot of times you can just give it a couple reels up and pop it up, and a lot of times you can convert them into the figure 8, which is what I was going to try to do, but she didn't let me do that. She ate it before I got it up to where I could see it. But not a big fish, really pretty fish. Feels good because it's cold out, and I'm excited because this is exactly what we wanted to do. I wanted to come out here, find this bait, and jig on these fish, as I thought it looked perfect for it. One of the best situations I've seen since I've been in Minnesota. But let's get her taken care of so we can get some more, because it might be the deal. I might have found something good here. Hopefully. Oh geez. You was not getting off, that's for darn sure. We actually need bolt cutters. One of my all-time favorite jig baits, and if you've watched Mayhem 1000 casts before, you watched our episode in Ohio, you're probably pretty familiar with this bait. Super underrated custom collar from Team Rhino Outdoors, if I must say so myself. This is a Team Rhino custom collar Mojo in ice Cisco pattern. It's a super cool collar. Kind of got gold and then that purple and a white belly. But this thing has caught fish for me in Minnesota. It's caught fish for me in West Virginia, Ohio, everywhere I've been. But if you're not jigging Mojos, you're doing something wrong. I'm telling you, you guys really need to get on this. Get you a Mojo, 1.5 ounce chaos weight, slap it on that front hook like that. And they're a little finicky to tune. I will admit that. They're a little finicky to tune. But you just sit there and just barely bend on it. Get that thing straight to where it's just diving like this. And they roll around a lot. But I highly recommend putting that weight on there. You'll get a lot less tangles of the bait rolling on itself. It won't roll as bad if you put that weight on there. And you can jig a little faster. But we had to cut that hook. She had annihilated that bait. Really good sign though for him to head shoot that bait. Well, let's get this one out and get after another one. Not a big girl, but a really pretty fish. And I'll take it for host turnover, late October, probably the first real cold front of the year. It's actually cold out. Welcome back to Mayhem's 10,000 cast. Super pretty spotted fish. I love it. Let's get a couple more. There you go. I love that cold water release. Man, they take off. In clear water, you can watch them take off this far. There's my cough. All right, let's get some more. Let's get some more fish bread. A little bit of dilemma. So I was telling you guys that I had Brad putting a chaos weight on a bait. The reason I had him doing that is I've got these gloves on. Well, he's got some nice gloves. I've got these junk things that aren't terrible, but I don't want to take them off. So he has fingernails, so I was going to have him do it because our dilemma is I cannot find my split ring pliers. They're somewhere right here, probably. So we're going to look for them, but I think they're here. So we're just going to dig in here and find them, hopefully. That way I can change the hook. If not, 3 hook points is going to have to work. Look at what I found. Not my bait pile. Laying down the bottom boat somewhere.
Hunter?
Yeah.
Ventures Inc. has you protected when it comes to snow, sand, and wind structural fencing products, providing residential, commercial, and Department of Transportation options for superior property and roadway protection. Magnum Ventures at www.magveninc.com for your project needs.
Hey Chase, you seen Carrie around? I haven't seen her anywhere. She's not in her office.
No, I haven't seen her anywhere, but a little bit ago the UPS guy came and I think he had like a giant Team Rhino box. I thought it was yours.
What? A Team Rhino box? I didn't order anything from Team Rhino.
Well, if you didn't order a Team Rhino box and I didn't, she had to. Definitely in the garage hiding from us. Oh yeah, there she is.
Go figure.
All right, I knew it.
She's got the box.
What'd you get?
Nothing?
Shop at teamrhinooutdoors.com for all your muskie needs. Well, fish number 2. Finally found a bait. It took me a little bit longer. Kind of looked around, found some other areas. Seen a couple shallower spots, a little closer to the break. But this is about the same time frame in the day that I seen them last week when I was out here. So we came back and checked it. We stopped, found a bait, started jigging. Had a couple fish fall on the jig. Shoot up, just didn't quite get it. And Brad was actually jigging one in the front, and I just happened to see one on a live scope sitting out there 50, 60 feet. So I just made a quick little pitch out there real quick while he was still jigging the fish in the front. And she smoked the Cisco Mojo again. Very, very awesome bait. Made for casting. I'm jigging it. Although this fish was casting, but one's sitting out there right off the boat there, and she was a little higher. She was probably only, I don't know, 8 feet down maybe. That's a little shallow to jig. In this clear water in Minnesota back home, it doesn't really scare me. Here, they tend to follow a lot more if they're up that high. I'm really wanting to see them at least 12 to 15 down is where I'm wanting to see them jigging. So that one I decided to cast too because I figured she'd be too high to jig on. But Brad's fish swam off. But we did find a pot of fish. We've seen 4 or 5 in the last 10 to 15 minutes or so, but a lot nicer fish. Oh, another one, I don't know, 5 minutes ago. We're fishing and I'm jigging and I look up front and there's one right by the trolling motor, and it was looking at the trolling motor. It kind of swam off. Brad pitched out to where it swam to, and it came back in and actually ate him on the figure 8. That was a nice fish, probably mid-40s, nice fat fish. But got this one. Hopefully we're in a window. We definitely found the fish. Let's get after it. But another one on the Team Rhino custom color Cisco Mojo. Awesome, awesome bait. One of my favorites. Let's get this one out so we can get some more. There that is. Nice chunker. This one's been eating good. Find the bait, find the fat ones, that's for sure. Oh, you're mean still, aren't you? Super, super nice fish. A lot thicker than the last one. Some nice fish in this lake. I hope to find a much bigger one. I'm not going to complain for late October, post turnover. Get her back. Small head, that's good, they're growing fast. Alright, you chill out. I know it's cold and you want to go home. She goes. Back down to eat more Ciscoes. I think there's a lot of smaller Ciscoes. I'm not finding the big large Ciscoes like I would typically like to find. I'm not sure if this lake even has the big large Ciscoes, but it definitely has tons and tons of bait, about that big. So that's why we're jigging a little bit smaller stuff. The Mojo's not really that small, it's just a little bit different thing. I've got Brad jigging a variety of baits, and they're a little bit more interested, I would say, in the smaller stuff, like junior bondies, the little wobbler, things like that. But we'll keep after it here. We got a good program going, so let's try to stick a few more.
Muskie Bumper, a solid measuring platform for your catch. Constructed with strong plastic that floats and stainless steel hardware for years of use. Check us out at fishbumper.com. We measure your success. 20 years of mayhem. still built right here in the USA. Creating and making history one bait at a time, catching personal bests in boats season after season. Find Muskie Mayhem Tackle at any fine retailer or go direct at muskiemayhemtackle.com. Let the mayhem begin.
Take the Cisco Mojo off. We went a little bit and not really moving too many right now. But I just had a fall on the Cisco Mojo. Kind of late, really wouldn't do the figure eight, just kind of wanted to hang out there on the back left corner. So I'm going to do a little bit something slower, like a dying dog where it hangs in their face a little bit. We're going to work at the same cadence basically, but it's just going to be, there's more hang to a dying dog. It stops. When you stop, it stops. A lot of times when fish get lazy, you need that instant stop. Like a dying dog is good for that, a Medusa is good for that. We're going to keep chucking away though and hit these points and humps and see what we can get. I am getting chilly though.
So one of the things that we're doing here, you know, with this jigging, it's a brand new body of water. We've searched around a ton. We're moving around quite a bit, stopping jigging, just cruising around, checking for bait. And what we're finding is kind of bands of tullabees swimming around, even some lake shiners and things like that. Definitely, like where Chase caught the first fish, that fish was babysitting bait, and we could see that on the screen real easy. If we see one of these loner fish out here, they're definitely not as interested as the ones that are next to bait. So now that we've kind of located those pockets of bait, we're definitely going to concentrate our efforts, you know, jigging in that particular area. Primarily because it seems like those active fish are the ones that are with the bait. So now that we've kind of dialed that in on this new body, hey, we're going to concentrate here and see if we can't get it done.
Well, like Brad said, we're fishing more so structure. So this morning, and we do this a lot, we've done this last year, but we usually do the trolling in the morning while it's still cold, waiting on everything to warm up, everything to wake up in the system. This morning we decided to do some jigging, try to get that to go. And we had lots and lots of fish. Looking at the jigs, had one whack-a-jig or whatever that Brad had, and then I caught that one jigging. And we've just kind of bounced around these balls of bait. There's about 3 areas that just have lots of bait in it. And there's muskies that seems to be just swimming around, cruising around and coming into the bait, eating the bait, whatever. But now it's kind of warmer, and one thing that we usually notice is that the bait starts rising up or pushing closer to structure. And there's some really good mid-lake structure in this lake. And a lot of that bait was right out off of it in the open water this morning. So were the muskies. And now that it's warming up a little bit, that bait's kind of pushing up on that break and even getting on top of some of the structure. So the muskies are following, we're seeing them. So we are going to stick with this program for a couple hours because it seems like it's working. I mean, that was the second one, and we had one late follow. Brad had one late follow. So we're going to keep hammering away here and maybe even try a couple break lines, because there was some break lines that I seen earlier that had quite a bit of bait on it. So we'll see if the muskies pulled up on that. But they're definitely moving around a lot. Like you see 4 or 5 in a little area, and then they're not there anymore. And then you come back an hour later, they're not there. You come back an hour later, they're there. So they're doing a lot of swimming, which is kind of typical for this time of year. But as evening goes, they start setting up on spots, I think, to eat. So we're going to try to present them with a tasty Team Rhino custom color Cisco Mojo. Hopefully we stick another one. Well, they definitely slowed down quite a bit on us. Had a couple late follows here in the last hour or so. Just not seeing as many on the graph, not seeing as many with our eyes. They're coming in, the ones that we are raising are coming in, I don't know, 6-7 feet behind the bait. So they're slowing down quite a bit. We're gonna keep after here for a little bit longer. We're getting kind of close to dark. Right now, I just switched over to something kind of cool and new. A lot of you guys probably don't know of. This is a monster, I believe it's Monster Ike's jig. It's basically a bass jig, but they've made it probably one of the best musky jigs out there now, even though it's made for bass. It's got a super, super heavy hook on it. But it's got a swim bait on the back of it, just kind of slow rolling it. We're seeing tons of these Ciscoes jumping, and they're all about anywhere from that big to about that big. This thing really, really looks like a Cisco. So we're gonna keep chucking here, and I'm just gonna start slow rolling this, see if a little bit of a slow roll might get some of those lazier fish to just come up and nip it. As you saw, I just had another one follow that swim bait. That one was right on it, but man, they're just very, very negative. Here's that jig. It's a Missile Baits makes it. It's a Ike's Monster Jig, I believe. That thing has an insane hook on it. I mean, that is one of the toughest hooks I've ever seen on a jig. Very, very musky friendly though, size-wise. Super, super awesome colors to select from as well. Kind of a cool bait. I can see this thing working really well in the weeds in the summer, burning it like a bucktail. Pull paws in it looks pretty good, but straight retrieve, just like a swim bait, looks very well as well right now. So, like I said, there's lots of Ciscoes in here that are about exactly that size, and that they look that color too when I'm seeing them jump. There's quite a few of them jumping today. That was way shallower than she was. I can't either. Here, hold this.
Fish number 3. Felt good to finally set the hook on a good one. I had that one earlier in the figure 8, which was kind of crazy. You know, as you're jigging, a lot of times our baits are up higher in the water column, and I could actually see the fish playing with the bait. I raised it up just a little bit, went into that figure 8, and she finally did eat it, but I don't know, the jigging program's kind of been a little bit goofy. Earlier today, right away when we first started, I'm ripping up and down, up, back down. I felt it hit. It almost felt like it hit bottom of the lake. It was on top of a fish's head, I have a feeling. But anyway, what we've done now is it's getting a little bit later in the evening here, afternoon, late afternoon, and we're starting to look at some of these shallower humps. And these shallower humps have definitely had bait around them in the open water as well as up on top of the humps. It's a little bit shallower. Made a couple casts, put one in the bag. So even throwing a Bondi, kind of cool. But definitely maybe we're on a new pattern. We're gonna kind of check it out. Hopefully we can get on some more fish. The old Bondi did the trick for me. Not only a jigging bait, but you can use them as casting as well. Definitely cool with that little tail blade. So I'm kind of excited. I got my new Aft-Tek breakwater gloves. They're waterproof gloves. Team Rhino just put them on their website. I got a pair about a week ago. I've worn them a couple days out on the water. First day actually reaching into the water with them, so I'm anxious to see how waterproof they are. I know they will be. Aft-Tek makes some really good products. The other thing they have is the little gray fingertip and thumb, so you can change on your screen, or if you're working your phone, definitely works good with your electronics. But let's give them the waterproof test right now. Let's see this girl. That's a little bit better than I thought maybe, Chase. Nice fish. And that cold water, they're pretty spunky, that's for sure. You gotta turn your head over here, girl, so I can get you. Eating the bag on me. All right. Nice fish. Sweet. Again, small head like you said, Chase. Pretty cool fish though. Let's get her on the bump and take a look. Right at 45. Sweet. Nice fish. Let's go find some couple more. Cold water. Active fish. Feels awesome. All right, lady. Go back down there and find yourself some more Ciscoes. I'll give these 100%. My hands are perfectly dry. Breakwater by Aft-Tek. Definitely check them out if you're fishing late fall. We got about an hour and a half before dark. I need about an hour to get home for Chase, and then I'm gonna hit the road and head back home. So we're gonna call it a day. It was a good time. Looking forward to November. We're gonna get back out soon, so we'll see you guys next week.